Oh, you missed it. Oh, yes. Hello, everybody. Let's discuss this turkey hunt. It was a phenomenal experience. I definitely think I will be doing it again, but I do have a lot to learn. Without further ado, let's break down some of the footage and just kind of discuss everything I did not discuss out in the field. So this turkey hunt started a few weeks prior. I hopped onto OnX after receiving the confirmation that I did get drawn for this public land hunt. And basically on X, I was looking for access points and roads, and then I was trying to pick the best little patch of timber or little farm area that was, the most remote. What would be the most challenging place to get to that birds would likely be in, but other hunters, mushroom hunters, turkey hunters, fishermen, people who fish. Regardless, what part of this public area would have the least amount of human foot traffic? That's what I was looking for. And I found a few different spots that fit that criteria. And upon my initial scouting, I heard gobbles out in the field. I did hear a number of gobbles, specifically this plan. So we'll call it plan A. So plan A, I heard the gobbles. So once I found this, hard to access area, let's be honest, nothing in this particular public hunting area is hard to get to. I think at most, maybe a mile walk. And that's assuming you stay on public ground. If you had private access, the sky's the limit. It might be a 500-yard walk. Walking this public stretch was 50% easy, 50% pretty challenging. We'll get to that later on. The easy part was through, a pretty nice road for farm equipment to get through. The second quarter of the walk was all through farm fields or just like plain, flat, empty fields. And I did that walk. And towards the end of that farm row, I did start hearing some gobbles. I got super excited. So after I heard those gobbles, I decided to push a little bit deeper. It was still pretty early in the day, and I felt like it was, a wide enough area. I could see probably 300 yards. So I was pretty confident that I could see a gobbler on the ground. So I wasn't too worried about spooking him through the scout. But as I got towards the end of that farm row, it just got really dense. A lot of trees, a lot of brush. And it got pretty steep. So I thought, I know the bird's kind of either in that timber or he's across the river. So I'm just gonna let it be, and I'm not gonna push through the timber a little bit farther. So I hightail it out of there. So fast forward a week or two, and I decide to kayak down the river to this prime spot that I scouted earlier. And right when I'm pulling up to the area where I assume this gobbler is, he just lights up, exactly where I was hoping he would be, on the good side of the river, not on the side of the river that I would need a kayak to access. So I'm super happy that this gobbler is on the walkable side of the property. So for the second scouting trip in a row, I hear gobbles in this one particular area, and I'm just on fire. It's super exciting hearing all that as a new turkey hunter, and I'm just super thrilled that plan A is legit. So later that day, I decided to drive around a little bit. Here's plan A, it's public. Other people could be jumping in there before me. Anything could happen. So I need a plan B, I need a plan C, I need a plan D. So driving around, I finally put eyes on a bird. The first 2 or 3 scouting trips, I did not see anything, although I heard birds all over the place. So I see birds in this other field, a couple units away, And I'm just stoked because that's right where I put a pin for plan B. So here I've got plan A in stone. I've got plan B looking extremely promising. So fast forward another couple of weeks and it is opening day tomorrow. Would you look at this? It is April 20th here in central Indiana, the day before turkey season open. I am so excited. If you saw on my Instagram, I have not been turkey hunting since 2017 due to a bout with Lyme disease. So I'm excited to get over that little hurdle. So I'm out here on public ground doing a little last minute scouting. Like I said, season opens tomorrow and I've got plan A locked down. I just saw a few birds in private property right next to plan A. So I'm excited about that. I really hope they continue to roost in the same spot. I heard them earlier, so that's super, super exciting. But I came over here to plan B and just to see if I couldn't spot another bird or two. I might make plan B plan A if I see something really exciting here. But look at this snow. Who in their right minds would have expected snow on turkey season opener? So yeah, that's the scoop. Public land turkey hunting going down tomorrow, and we're gonna have 3 inches of snow. So looking forward to seeing what happens tomorrow, and maybe we'll spot something more exciting tonight, and that will cause us to change all our plans. Stay tuned. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be chilly, but it's gonna be fun. All right, successful scouting mission complete. I think I confirmed plan A, and I might have confirmed plan B. I did bump a couple of hens or jakes. I was pushing into a clearing and they were just right there. And they looked at me, I looked at them. They hung out long enough that I debated lifting my camera up to try and film them, but then they flew off. So they flew in the direction of plan B. I don't know how far turkeys fly when they're spooked like that, but that's plan B. I moseyed towards plan B a little bit. I didn't want to push the birds even farther away, and I saw these tracks. So the tracks are running straight towards plan B, and they were definitely not the birds that I jumped because they did not fly in the direction of the tracks. So I'm super excited. I really hope plan A comes to fruition and I don't have to think about plan B. So I'm heading back to the truck. Hopefully gonna sleep a bunch tonight and get ready to hit it tomorrow morning. Turkey season. See you then. In hindsight, definitely think I pushed it a little too hard. My buddy recommended staying only on the roads, but I just couldn't resist. For some reason, I had to see a turkey. I really wanted to see a turkey in plan B to really lock that in my head that was a good second option. I've got plan A in stone. Plan B is looking extremely promising. So the morning of turkey season here in Indiana, I wake up and the weather forecast was accurate. We had a huge dumping of 3 inches, a healthy 3 inches of snow, just wet and thick and just everywhere. So hindsight, I definitely took way too much gear. I knew the first half of the walk would be, fairly simple, just kind of through this dirt road, through some farm fields, etc., etc. But I had no idea what the second half of the trek would look like. So here I am with a borrowed blind on my back, a backpack full of batteries. I think I had 2 lenses. I had my big DSLR camera. I had a tripod. I had coffee. I had water. I had all my calls. I had extra clothing because I knew I was going to work up a sweat getting to this place. I needed those extra layers once I started to cool off. I had a big chair with me. I had just, you name it, I probably had it in the backpack. It was probably close to 75 pounds of gear, which, through a half-mile walk, not a problem. Even a mile walk, I thought, I can handle this. I'm pretty young. I'm in decent shape. Turns out once we got to the timber, the walls closed in and I was just pushing through downed trees, low saggy limbs full of snow, and just thorns and honeysuckle just caging me in. And with just the headlamp light that I had, it was just impossible to navigate. This was a brutal walk. Honestly, I think it was like the toughest walk I've ever done out hunting. I think it was good training for elk, which I would love to do at some point. But up until this point, I've never had a walk that was this intense. I somehow found the worst possible route from the edge of the field, close to the truck, to where I was planning on sitting. And it was just steep and slippery. And again, with all this junk on my shoulders, I was getting hung up on things. I was weighed down. I was sliding down hills that I did not want to slide down. And at one point, I think I found my way into this gully that just stopped. There was a huge dead tree. It was too thick, too steep to climb up. And I was cursing. I was mad. I was just not in a good headspace at all. And this is all like an hour and a half, 2 hours before shooting light. So I was just terrified that I was going to scare birds away, terrified that I wasn't going to make it to the spot I wanted to be in. I really thought about just turning back and setting up in the farm field. All these thoughts going through my head. And I thought, Chris, just push through. You're gonna make it. You're not that far away. If you have to, dump your gear and make multiple trips. Somehow I made it out. It was just, it was nasty, and I was a sweaty mess, covered in snow, just exhausted beyond belief. Again, not a good headspace to be. Anyways, I finally pushed through the brush, and I'm just literally butted right up against private land. I mean, this barn is standing right here, so I thought, I'm definitely off track. I'm definitely a lot closer to the private than I really wanted to be. So I try and push back a little bit deeper into the public area, and I come to a ridge, which, upon looking at the topography map, I should have known was there, but somehow it got hidden on my OnX app that I was looking at this whole time, and I didn't think to try and turn it back on because mentally I was just a wreck. So I shine my headlamp down there, and I can't see the bottom. All I know is that it's stupid steep, it's thicker than I really wanted to fight with, and mentally, it's getting danger close to that point in time where I barely have time to set up. I barely have time to just chill, collect my thoughts, calm down, and just let the woods calm down before the birds really start firing up and getting ready to leave the roost. So I kind of avoid where I really wanted to sit, and I work towards this tiny little open patch. It might be a 1/4 acre or so. And I just set up on that little patch of an opening, and it seems okay. So I thought, it's not perfect. I'm not in love with this setup, but I heard the birds close by. I know that they're in the general area. So let's hunker down here. Let's just get it over with, get the hike done, and just start the hunt. So fast forward to around 6:30, 6:45. It's just getting bright enough to see what's going on in the woods, and he just fires off to my left. I don't know exactly how close he is to me. I need to have a gobbler right in front of me, just gobbling like crazy. I need to know how loud these birds actually are. So I don't know how far away he is, but I know he's close-ish. And he lights off a couple of times, and I finally get one on the camera, so I'm pretty excited about that. So I'm hearing these gobbles and calling back a little bit here and there. Again, I don't know what I'm doing calling-wise, so I'm just trying my best, trying a diaphragm, trying a box call, and just seeing what happens. So about 7 o'clock, he goes quiet, and it's just dead quiet. The snow on the ground, it's cool, just a couple of birds chirping, but that is it. I see nothing, I hear nothing, and I'm just sitting here kind of thinking, man, I think I lost my shot. About 8:30, 9 o'clock maybe, he fires off again. Nothing to do with me. I'm not really calling a ton at this point, just a few little clucks here and there. But he fires off again, and he's just straight ahead of me down the ravine. And I thought, oh gosh, that's where I wanted to set up. I wanted to set up closer to the river, and it was just my gut. I had no other reasoning for wanting to set up there versus here, but it just one of those things. He fires off, and I try and respond a couple times, and he just goes quiet. He's not interested in me, probably due to bad calling, but the day ends with not another peep. I do see this really nice looking buck. All I see are his nubs, but definitely would be a shooter buck in the future. All right, guys, quick change of plans here. I've been hunkered down in the blind for like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 5 hours almost, and getting a little cramped, getting a little bored. I had a gobbler east of me circle around to the south, and I don't know, I just didn't sound sweet enough, I guess, and he didn't want to come up and play. So there is a farm field north of me. It's private, but I can get real close to it just to see if there are birds in the field. And then I might scooch down south of me. There's a river where I'm pretty sure I know where the gobbler was, because I was wanting to set up there. I just could not get there this morning. It was a brutal hike. Thick, just snowy, down to trees everywhere, steep as hell. It was not fun at all. I didn't record any of it. I was cursing half the time anyway, so it would have been bad to post if I did record it. But yeah, beautiful, beautiful morning. I've absolutely been loving the views, but I just wish there was a turkey laying down in front of me over here. So we're gonna see what we can do. I've got 3 days to hunt this property, so I don't think I'm coming back here tomorrow if I don't get a bird today. So I'm not really super concerned if I bust something up and scare it away, but I'd rather not, just because. Oh well. All right, let's go on this little adventure and see what we can come up with. So this particular public land in Indiana requires you to be done hunting at 1 o'clock. And since I hadn't heard anything in a few hours, I decide I'm gonna pack it up. I'm gonna go down to the river just to see if I can see some tracks, see if I can put my eyes on where this turkey came from, where he's going, just trying to get a bigger picture of the story. But I also wanted to leave with plenty of time to put the stalk on a turkey should I see one, either down closer to the river or on my way back to the truck. So my goal was to be at the truck around 1 o'clock when I'm legally supposed to be done. So I gather all my crap, I put it back on my back, which at this point in time, I was ready to be done with all of it. I did not want to carry this crap anymore. So I worked my way down to the river. I never really saw his tracks, but at this point in time, all the snow is, melting and dropping from the trees. So really any tracks that I might have seen were probably covered with, the dropping snow from the branches. So I didn't see anything down by the river, but I did find a decent spot to set up should I want to make this walk again. But at this point in time, I was just ready to get the heck out of here. I did not want to do that walk again. I was dreading the walk back to the truck and just mentally not in a good headspace. Mostly out of frustration because I was exhausted from the walk in and the thought of doing the walk out, on top of, man, if I come back here, I'm gonna have to do that walk all over again. No, thank you. Plan B sounds like heaven right now. On the way out, since it's bright, I do find a much easier way out of the thick, nasty stuff. I skipped the gully and the pack out was okay. It still hurt, but it was okay. Definitely doable, but not doable enough that it convinced me to go there tomorrow. So walk back to the truck. I don't see any sign. I don't see anything at all. I don't hear anything at all. So I thought, well, today, day one is a lesson learned. I didn't see any birds, but I definitely heard birds. And so that's experience under my belt. So day two starts very similar to day one. Since I'm in a new area, I decided to go to plan B because all my muscles were aching and sore and just tired from yesterday's hike. So plan B it is. I still show up pretty early. I slept in a half an hour, so I gave myself that. But since it was an easier hike, I definitely wanted to be there earlier because plan B is more likely to have more hunters than plan A was. So I get there, I'm the first one to sign in, I'm the first one to park, I'm the only hunter I see walking in. I don't see anybody else, walking through the fields early on. So plan B starts off, pretty similar. I get to the spot, I get set up, and I start hearing gobbles off behind me. Now these gobbles I know sounded a lot farther away than yesterday's hunt. So I start off, about the same. After talking to my uncle and another couple of friends about calling, I'm maybe a little bit more confident with my turkey, responses, my hen calls, but I'm still not that confident. But I'm giving all the responses that I think they deserve. And they fire off a few more times. At one point they sounded a little bit farther away. At one point they sounded like they were a little bit closer. But eventually they die off and it's just me sitting in the blind with my decoys just hanging out. That's about all there is to say about day two. It was just slow. It got a lot warmer and it was just me hanging out in the blind, wishing I could hear turkeys gobbling. It was boring, I'll be honest. I think the one highlight of day two was I was sitting in the blind texting a buddy and all of a sudden I look up and there's a doe just like 10 yards in front of me, hanging out next to my decoys. And I'm like, yes, it's super cool to see deer always. Like, I don't care what time of year it is, I love seeing deer. And she's just standing there kind of looking at the decoys. And I might have jumped or something. I don't know, but like as soon as I looked up, she just locked eyes with me. She knew I was there, but she wasn't like terrified. She was stomping around a little bit, and eventually I reach over and turn the camera on, and at this point she's kind of running away. But I kind of like keep the camera trained in on her, just watching and trying to film a little bit. And then all of a sudden the second one shows up. And then all of a sudden the third one shows up. So these deer were hanging out just barely out of range of my capabilities inside the blind. So I wasn't able to film much of the deer, but they did hang out for a good 5 to 10 minutes before they just decided to take off. Guys, this turkey hunting stuff is tough to figure out. After 3 or 4 trips up here to scout the property, and a brutal hike yesterday, an easy hike today. I've got an hour and a half left of hunting. This property only allows you to hunt until 1 p.m. So in an hour and a half I need to be done in getting out of here. So today has been extremely uneventful outside of the deer that ran past us a bit ago. So I was set up between 2 little fingers of fields that farmers plant here on public land, and decided to move down. So I'm just looking down the one field now, hopefully trying to, get a gobbler to see my decoys if he's cutting through the field. But at this point in time, I'm just kind of sitting here waiting for my time to get up. I don't know if I should get out and try and walk around. The odds of me sneaking up on a bird and shooting that bird are extremely remote. And after 1 o'clock, I can drive around and scout for tomorrow. So tomorrow's my last day here on this property. When you get drawn for the permit, you have 3 days. So Wednesday was in the snow. Today, really comfortable temperatures. Kind of windy, but that's not too bad. Who knows what tomorrow is going to look like, but it is looking like I'm going to need all 3 days and a whole lot of luck tomorrow. So, my blind's about to blow away. Good night. So, that being the highlight of the day, I thought, well, it's probably about that time to start packing up and, working my way back to the truck. I think I've got probably 2 hours of, legal time on public land to still hunt. And for the past little while, I've been hearing all this commotion behind me. And it turns out, my buddy told me that, people were allowed to run their dogs chasing rabbits. And so sure enough, like they were just a ton of beagles behind me running through the woods. And to be honest, that's probably what spooked the turkeys off. It probably wasn't my calling. My calling didn't help draw them towards me, but the hounds behind me definitely, I think shut the birds up and probably pushed them, somewhere else. I was kind of hoping that they would push them towards me, but it didn't happen that way. So I decided, well, I'm just going to poke around a little bit, just see what I can see, just maybe spot a bird in a field driving around. I didn't see anything else. So I think I drive around for the remainder of my legal hunting time, and it's just uneventful. I don't see anything at all. So at this point, I'm pretty discouraged. I don't know what to do. So I'm racking my brain. I didn't really want to do plan B again. My buddy suggested doing plan B, but chasing the turkeys. So hearing the gobbles and then just pushing after them. I'm not super comfortable doing that, mostly because I don't really know how to judge how far gobbler is from me. So I was nervous about that. I was nervous about just leaving all my gear and just being me sitting under a tree. I fidget too much. I really wanted to film the hunt. So all of that would have just been really complicated with my gear. And I got talking to a bunch of other people about what to do. And my buddy Mitch finally said, hey, just go back to where you were on Wednesday. He said, honestly, I would have stayed there the whole time because you knew there was a bird there. You kind of heard the direction he was walking. Just go back to plan A and just see what you can do out there. So I thought, okay, that makes a lot of sense. I prepare myself mentally. I am dreading this walk. I know it's a good idea to go back and set up in plan A one more time, but I'm just not wanting to do it at all. So after some grueling discussion with myself, I finally decide I'm doing plan A and I'm leaving a lot of my gear behind. I'm not taking the blind. I'm not taking my main camera, my good camera. I'm gonna rock a GoPro. I'm gonna rock a chair and a backpack with, my layers to bundle up. I've got a leaf suit that I'm gonna throw on, and I'm just gonna sit under a tree. So I take, to me, what is the bare minimum, which is still probably a lot compared to other hunters. And, having that route going out of plan A, I think it's not going to be as bad. So I've got way less gear. I have a better idea of how to get to plan A, where I really wanted to be at plan A. So I do it. I wake up. I still get there plenty early. I think this time I slept in another half hour. I think I showed up there at 4:30. So here it is on Friday morning. Still nobody's signed in to this particular area. And I'm excited. I think it was around 4:30 when I actually showed up this time. Did the walk super quick with only the backpack and the minimal gear. I get to the timber and I still get lost a little bit. I still make my way down a ravine I shouldn't have gone down, but I course correct, I get back on track, and here I am exactly where I want to be. And I've still got like 2 hours before shooting light starts. So I'm feeling really good about this setup already. Mentally, I'm a lot healthier because the walk was easier. I kind of knew the area I wanted to be, so a lot of the guesswork from not putting boots on the ground before Wednesday was taken care of. More of that plan was solidified in my head, so I'm feeling way more comfortable. So I get to the tree where I want to set up on, and I do a quick look around, and what is this? What is this? I find a little turkey feather sitting right next to my chair. I'm thinking, is this a sign? Is this what? Is this proof that this was a good decision? It definitely is sign that there are turkey in the area when I didn't see any scat, I didn't see any footprints. So seeing that feather was super, super encouraging. So I throw out my decoys, I settle down, I crack open my coffee, I'm just sitting there just sipping away. Come 6:30-ish, again, right when it starts to get light enough, right when the gobblers are supposed to be firing off, I get a text from my buddy who is also on this public property, but completely different unit. And he's saying, dude, the birds are lighting up today. We've got tons of gobblers and hens just making ruckus, extremely vocal. He says, if you're not hearing birds right now, then you need to move. And I'm sitting there like, I haven't heard any birds. And so that high I got from being set up where I wanted to be, finding that turkey feather, just being in a really good headspace, just plummeted. And I thought, like if the weather's perfect and the birds should be just roaring and I'm not hearing anything at all, like this bird is gone. Either I scared him away on Wednesday, something else got him, he just left, like it's dead quiet, and my stomach sank. I thought I'm far enough away from the truck that getting up and leaving would probably ruin my hunt for the day. Like there's just, to me it didn't make sense. I was just heartbroken that like it's quiet and I don't hear anything at all. So I sit there for a little bit longer thinking, I just need to exercise my patience. I need to just stick with my gut, just hold tight, Chris. Just breathe, just relax. And probably 10 minutes later, boom, he fires off. A gobble, yes. He's still in the area. I went from like extremely high, like I found that feather, it's a good sign, to my buddy saying they're extremely vocal, mine's not, so I'm extremely low. I heard a gobble, I'm super high, but then I thought, oh, that's exactly the way I walked in. So he knows I'm back here. He heard me. There's no way he wouldn't hear me. So my heart just sinks again. And like I could tell like by the sound of the gobble, he's probably in the private trees that I walk past. So I thought, oh, he's in the private trees. He's probably gonna work his way to the private farm field to eat bugs and look for hens. There's no way he's gonna come down here. So after that one gobble, I try to give it 10, 15, 20 minutes before I respond. Let him gobble off a couple of times and just be still. I hear nothing. I heard one gobble that morning and just dead quiet after that. So I thought, oh no, it's confirmation. He knows I'm down here. He gobbled once and he took off onto private. He's somewhere that I can't go. And I'm fighting the urge to go chase him because my other buddies said, you hear a gobble, just close the distance, chase it, and just hunker down, get him calling, chase him down. My uncle and another friend just said, be patient, just hold still, hold your ground, just let them come to you. But he's not gobbling, so I don't know what to do. I'm just sitting here. I blow off a crow call, hopefully thinking that it's going to shot gobble something. Dead quiet. Nothing at all. So I'm just sitting here, it's 7 o'clock, 7:10. I really forget what time it was, but it's dead quiet. There's nothing going on, and I'm just devastated again. Like it's the last day I have permission to hunt this public area. The public area, it comes in 3-day passes. So I had Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Today was my last day. And here it is, just sitting in the woods with nothing to show for it. So a couple minutes later, I just kind of look up for no reason other than sheer dumb luck. And I see the Tom. He's not a Tom. I see a Jake. And he is just hightailing it towards my decoys. He is just on fire, just blazing this trail like straight for the decoy. And my heart just goes from the lowest of lows, like through the roof. It is like seeing my first deer ever. I'm shaky. My heart is beating. My mind is just exploding with, oh my gosh, a turkey. I see a turkey and he's 40 yards from me, just hightailing it straight towards me. I am ecstatic. Of course, he's coming in from my left and my gun is pointing to the right. So I'm thinking, how in the world am I going to get this over there without him seeing me and running off? So at this point, I'm just trying to do my best to hold still. I'm shaking uncontrollably still. And I think he sees me, either from my shaking or just me turning my head that little bit. So he stopped behind a dead tree and he's just kind of hung up there. Kind of looks like he wants to come into the decoys, kind of looks like he's super nervous about something. It felt like an eternity, but eventually he starts meandering away. And I'm like, oh gosh, I moved too much. I blew my only chance. Well, there goes my heart again. And he kind of wanders slowly off where he came from. He's kind of making this putting sound, which I think you can hear. I'm trying to rack my brain and think, is that the sound that they make when they are on high alert. Like, does he know something's up? Is he making the sound because he's uncomfortable because he's leaving? I'm thinking, please don't do that sound. And as he gets behind a tree, I start to cluck a tiny little bit. Like, I try and cluck real quiet, but definitely when he's not in visible range of me. So he gets behind this tree, I swing around, probably 90 degrees, get my shotgun up where I think he's gonna pop his head, and let me back up a little bit. That is the first call I made of the day. So he gobbled once, I did a crow call, and he came running in. I know it wasn't the crow call that drew him in. I did not make a single cluck. I did not make a single purr. I made no noise whatsoever. So the fact that this Jake was coming to me was just, I was on the X. There was no other explanation. I was where he wanted to be. It had nothing to do with my skills outside of just being on the X. So my gut told me to sit down, and that's where he wanted to be. So thank you for giving me that knowledge. But yeah, the first call I made was after he spooked a little bit and was working his way towards the river. So at this point, I'm 90 degrees, just waiting on him. And he had worked his way a little bit farther away, so he was already at the edge of my comfort zone for like my range, probably, you know, the 40, 50 yard area. And he's behind a bunch of thick rubbish. So my chances of getting a decent shot were pretty slim. I personally did not want to make that shot. So he continues to kind of walk along away from my decoys, away from me. And once he gets behind a big root, so behind me there's a huge dead tree, and the roots are way back there, the branches are way back here. And he gets behind those roots, and I do another couple of clucks, and I look behind me, and there's a little gap in the branches of the trees, and I'm thinking, oh, if he kind of keeps circling me like it looks like he's doing, like he's probably going to end up in that little nook behind me. So I say a quick prayer. I said, Lord, don't let me screw this up. Like, please just give me the knowledge and the abilities to do what I need to do to close this deal. So once he's behind the roots, I do a full 180, and I'm using the back of my chair as a gun rest. And at this point, like, my GoPro is kind of screwed up. I had a remote on my arm, and it just, for whatever reason, it wasn't connecting. So I didn't think I recorded any of this at all. So what you've seen up till now is bonus footage as far as I'm concerned. Unfortunately, it did not record the rest. So here I am, trained on the one little gap that I have. There's another tiny little gap over this way. And I'm just watching the turkey bound, pop his head up above the tree. He'd go down. A few yards later, pop his head up, and his head would go down. A few yards later, up, down. That probably went the whole stretch of the tree. And eventually he pops his head out through that tiny little opening. And I thought, yes, just keep going. And then slowly but surely, he pops his head out of the tree, and he's in that wide open area. My shotgun is just beaded straight up on him. I gave a little cluck. He turns and looks straight at me, and that's as far as he went.
Guys! Oh, you missed it. Oh. Yes! Bird down! Oh my gosh! That was a riot! Holy cow! Oh, thank you. Oh, I've got nobody but the Lord to thank for this one. Oh, that was an adventure. Holy crap. Wow. My heart settled down a little bit, so I'm hunkered down at this tree here, and 6:30 rolls around. I'm super nervous that I haven't heard any gobbles. About 6:40, I hear a gobble off this direction, which is the direction I came. So I'm nervous that he knows I'm here. He knows what's going on. One gobble is all I heard. And then just for sheer dumb luck, I have my eyes trained over here and I see him running. He's just booking it this way. I haven't called, I haven't done anything. Actually, I did one crow call, but that's not gonna bring in a turkey, is it? But he was just like booking it, running. And then he kind of stopped around this dead tree here. And of course my gun's just pointed off of this direction, so I can't really move without him seeing me, but like I can see him plain as day. So he putzed around here a little bit. He started making this putting sound, which is kind of what I think the nervous sound is. He probably saw me moving around to look at him. So he sneaks off over this way behind those roots. And as soon as he's behind those roots, man, I whip my gun around. And then it was just too thick. I couldn't get a shot off. And slowly he's working his way towards the river a little bit. And I see him poke his head up every now and again. And I'm afraid that he just busted me. I'm afraid that I moved too much and he saw me. But sitting in the chair here, I just whipped my gun around, just like crossed my fingers, praying, oh man, if you just come into this clearing a little bit, please come into this clearing. And I see him pop his head here, pop his head here. This is over the course of like 15 minutes, probably 5 minutes, but it felt like an eternity. And I'm just super nervous that he took off. But all of a sudden he pops up right here, just real slow, just work. And right, and if you can see it, so right in this little gap, he finally poked his head out for the last time, and he's still sitting right there. Ah, I'm so excited. Oh, what a day. He's a pretty small Jake, but my first turkey ever. Oh man, I feel like I worked pretty hard for this turkey, but in all reality, I probably didn't work as hard as some other people have had to work for their first bird. Oh man, maybe in the studio I'll do a breakdown of what went into this particular Jake. But my first turkey, yes, thank you Lord, thank you Lord. Oh, I'm exhausted. It's been a nasty hike getting here. Wednesday was a nasty hike. Today wasn't all that bad, but yes, I got my first turkey and I am over the moon. I'm so happy right now. So thank you for tuning into this adventure, and there won't be more turkey this year because I got my one limit for the season. Whew, holy crap, what a day, what a day. Oh, I'll catch you later. Thank you.
Today, I was definitely on his X, and my gut told me to be there, but I have no idea why. Sheer dumb luck. Let's chalk it up to that. I think I've pieced together just enough knowledge to be a little dangerous. In this case, it was very dangerous for that Jake, but yeah, just a thrilling experience. I cannot wait to get out and try it again. Yeah, that's the story. So thank you so much for tuning in to my first ever turkey video. It was an honor to share it with you. It was just one of the most exhilarating hunts I think I've been on. It was magical, and I cannot wait to do it again. So again, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.